Alright, so I got 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom. I didn't put one under the head, I got one under there. And none on this one, just one's below and beneath. You know, here's a thought, AEV, instead of bending this thing like that, where it's all at angles like that, why don't you frickin' design it so it's a lot thinner? You don't have to put in 8 frickin' washers and then bend the piece of metal to make it tight. Alright, so we did that. Gotta tighten the turnbuckle, they don't want it to rattle. Should be good. Alright, so here's what's up now. We got this thing connected. Right here, what you're looking for is what happens when you open your tailgate, that doesn't hit against there. So you can see it moving against the frame there. Once you get to fully open, you're hoping it doesn't stop there. Mine doesn't, so I'm good. The next thing you're looking for, and I can't believe this, so once you put the tire on, it says some of them droop. If yours droop, take these here shims and stick them in here and hold that plate up so it doesn't droop anymore. So you want to put the weight of the tire on there and see if this gets pulled out of the bracket again. Wow. Yeah, I like this before because that hole right there is specifically, this is the old bumper, designed to mount this AEV tire carrier. But AEV, you can't write directions. Nobody has an idea what you're talking about. Alright, so I'm going to put the tire on. I'm going to hope it just don't droop. If that's the case, drill the frame to lock the placement of the spindle housing is up next. Did you guys notice that before? This whole arm here moves. I guess if I'm looking for a droop, it went up. But the tire's staying on this metal part that they told me to squish it up against. So I guess that's okay. Alright, I kid you not. After you've done all this work, next up is take it all apart. I kid you not. Okay, these 2 washers, if the thing still slides good, we're going to put these washers in here, one on top, one on bottom. Oh, crap. I can't believe this. We're going to undo the one side of the turnbuckle because this is coming out. So we're going to take off the tire, undo one side of the turnbuckle. I can't believe this. We're going to take off the tire, then we're going to pull this out of here, loosen the bolts we tightened up here, and then we're going to put in that thing we talked about, which is this guy. We're going to put them in here and drill a hole through there and through there, and then put the 2 bolts in there. Oh, crap. I can't believe I got to take this whole damn thing off. Whoever thought about this? This is probably the same person who thought of this, and I kid you not. Look what this shit says. Proceed to step K, page 15. That's if you're installing AEV's bumper instead of using the stock bumper. Step K, page 15. Page 15. You see a step K on page 15? No, you don't. These people are nuts. That's not for what it said. So, you gotta take it all off. We're gonna take the tire off. We're gonna take one side of the turnbuckle off. Fuck. We're gonna take that guy and put him in here. So we gotta drill holes. Don't forget to put some paint on there so stuff don't rust. And I'm supposing we're gonna use these guys here. Yeah, they pretty much fit. So the rule book is difficult to understand, even more difficult to put it together from what they wrote in there. You know, I chose AEV because, like I said, the hole in the Jeep bumper standard is for an AEV tire holder. AEV puts on in Hemis in these Jeeps. AEV makes wheels. AEV did my lift kit, which I got to put on soon. I hope those directions are much better. But I talked about got to take that thing off that I just put on. And one of the things is, it's not mentioned there, is that tire carrier needs to go through this, which is going to be a water tank in my bumper. But nobody mentioned that in the rules. That first install that we just did, spent all that time, all that frustration, and to be told, okay, now take it off. That was just a test trial and a test fit. Now we're going to put it on for real. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. Anyway, it's going to have a water tank there, a water tank there. It's going to have a 10-gallon gas tank on the tire carrier. It's going to have a place for the high lift jack on the tire carrier. I just got to get through those rule books without going crazy. Alright, so we're back to the trial fitting here. This guy here holds my trailer hitch in. I'm going to need to cut this and cut this to get this to bolt back up here. The bolts are right under this plate here. They'll fit, so I can get those back on as soon as I do that. Crap. Looks like there's a flaw in my plan. I guess it said put those on first. So before you put your bumper up there, make sure these guys are sitting where they're supposed to be, because they're not going to make it there when the bumper's there. So I think I got enough ready. This time we're going to have this sitting in the bumper. To just rest right in here. There's some bolt holes here, some bolt holes there. Some of the things it says I'm supposed to hook up, I don't see where those go. We'll talk about those later. So I'm going to take the bumper back off. Going to work on this, getting it up so my trailer hitch has its bolts to make it happy. Next time I'm going to put the bumper back on, I'm going to have both of these just sitting in there so they fit under the bumper. So it fits pretty good. Even goes up against the fender there. So just going to screw into these, and there's a couple spots back there. Hopefully I'll be able to get to them all. This time, before you put these guys on and slide all that stuff back together, they want you to put in the bushings, or washers that they would call them. So you want to get both your water tanks in there before you slide your bumper in there. Then just slide your bumper into your frame rail. I think I'm ready enough to pull my bumper back off. Oh, and this works too. And then hits over here. We're good there. As far as the tow hooks, gonna think about got some D-rings. I'm gonna see if they'll fit in there, if I need bigger holes. I'm not sure if I'm gonna reinstall those. Maybe, maybe not. Alright, so it's back to stuff. I've been looking for a bolt. I just stuck my finger in a bunch of grease. For one of these guys. Couldn't find it for nothing. Went to the store. Pretty sure he sold me that one. Not real sure, but it's like the bolt that came out of the bag. But I just threw it on the ground after I took it out. I don't know. But the point is, then I was missing another bolt because this is a coarse thread. Where'd you go? That thing's a coarse thread and these things are fine threads. So I kept searching under the Jeep and all around. Turns out it was sitting in this thing, bolted into its spot where it's going to hook to later, I guess. I don't know. But now I have 4 bolts for my bumper so I can stick it back on. So I haven't read the rules since last week. But these guys have got to go in there and loosely fit. So I'm going to put both of those in. Find the bolts for those. Are you dizzy yet? Huh. I'm gonna have to read the rules. These guys I gotta fit into here before you sliding up there this time. I still want to have this guy in here, however he goes, so I can drill the holes through there. You gotta drill the holes through here and there. Oh, you're supposed to mark those if they're on the inside. Anyways, drill a couple holes there. One there and one on the top. Put these guys back on. You're supposed to hook up the plumbing to it too, which I brought out, but I'm not sure what's the actual plumbing. So a solid cap here. That makes more sense. And this tube they give me, I doubt that is stretching from one side of the bumper to the other. So I got to go back to reading the rules. Alright, so we got our water tank, a little 90-degree outlet. Got to install these with Teflon tape, and also install these if you were using the optional pump. I think I bought the optional pump, I'm not sure. It's been left-handed I started that. Too bad the Teflon tape isn't staying on there. Try again. And it is the last of my Teflon tape. Where was I? These 3 guys here, I guess they're calling them buttonholes. I don't know what they are, but they're going to go through there and into these 3 guys here. Don't tighten them all the way yet. Make sure you put a washer on them. I'm going to do this again. I already got it on that other tank over there somewhere. Could you see it? I'll find some more Teflon tape, see if I got some. I should have more. And I'm going to screw that in there and lightly put these guys in there. After that, we're going to work on these that we took off from the old bumper. They're going to fit into these guys, I believe, and into the frame. But let's get some Teflon tape and put this on there and screw these water tanks on there. Alright, so it didn't line up as nice as it used to fit in there. It used to sit right against the wall there, but by the time I got done, this bolt hole's a little bit off, so I'm gonna have to be that far out. Yeah, it's gonna be okay with me. I'm gonna hit it with the hammer, make it fit. Right now I'm gonna paint these two holes black. On the top, the one on the bottom. I'm also going to paint this stuff. Well, I don't have to paint it black. I'm just going to paint the edges that I cut off so things don't rust on me. So this hole is going to work for that, I think they call it a spindle bracket, I'm not sure. A little metal thing that we drilled the two holes through the bumper through for. Now, these guys, since you have to put them in at an angle, it's probably best if you put those on first, because even though this is loose, you got to bang that on with the hammer. Same thing with this side. So I'm going to go ahead and rip this off one more time. Put that bracket on the edge, this bracket on the edge. And then slide the bumper back on again. And I'm going to work on these guys. And they say use the same kind of, what they call these button top Allen heads, but they're not there. I do have 4 of these guys that should fit, but they aren't. I mean, if they name the other ones button Allen heads, they should look like each other, but they're not. So I'm going to rip off the bumper and put my plates on, put the bumper back on, and work on my original brackets that came with the old bumper. So on this side it does have 2 holes in there, just kind of like the ones you drilled on this side. Got my holes lined up on there. There is really no mention, but I guess it's only going to fit one way. Maybe not. I think it'll line up both ways. So I'm not sure if this end's supposed to stick out or if these guys are supposed to stick out. I'm going to go with this way. If it doesn't work, I'll just break out the hammer and bring it back off. Alright, so the trick is not put this in any further than to get that thing to fit back in there. What I do is bang it on from here. I'm right at the edge here, so I can't go any closer than that. I'm going to put this guy back in the frame and then just start hitting it back with till it lines up with the end of the frame. On this side, I might just try hitting it with the hammer to get it all the way against the frame there. We're going to call it the handle nut this time. That little guy that was silver that's going inside the bumper, mine fell over. Make sure you get a bolt or something to hold that for you as soon as you can. So I ended up taking off this frame. I have to try to put it back on now. What's going on is, well, this is still crooked, but I still got to move this guy over there, so that should take care of that. But those these guys, they're not lining up with both the water tank and the frame. I mean, they were both in the water tank, but I couldn't line up the frame. Now I got them both in the frame, but I can't line them up with the water tank. Now I'm just taking them off and trying again. So I'm going to try to push this back, get it straight so I can line up this hole. What they call that, the handle nut? I don't know what they called that. Get that lined up, then I'm going to work on this other stuff. Even the tank don't want to line up anymore. There we go, that was closer. So I'm going to get this lined up. It's a matter of shoving that thing against the top. I'm going to get some bolts in the frame, some bolts in there, and it's pretty much ready to go. I got another part for the tire carrier here because I bought the fuel caddy. Hope I'm going to make it there, I don't know. Gonna have to do a lot of spray painting where I've been hammering the crap out of this thing, knocking the paint off. I tried not to hammer on this, and sometimes I couldn't help myself. Alright, so I'm closer than I was before. This one's loose, that one's loose. Oh, the other part, these drain things they talked about. Once you get this elbow bracket in there, you're not going to be able to tighten them, so you do want to put them on first. And either point them this way or that way, whichever way, you're not going to break them off. So you got to get these on before you get close to putting these guys on. I just got to get this up against the frame. Looks like on both sides. I'm a little empty there too. So bang this flat, put these bolts in, put these bolts in here to the water tank. Put them in here, do the same thing on the other side. A little bit closer than I was. Alright, if you think you're going to get both those bolts into the frame and both those bolts into the water thing, you're just mistaken. Alright, there's some stuff you gotta look out for. One is, when you trial fit all this stuff, it'll all look great around there. See how close this water tank is to the back there. There's space in here. If you want to fit better, you've got to be prepared to bend the crap out of this. You give that water tank enough room to go the way it wants to go. Because otherwise, that's going to happen. You got your grease zerk hanging out there. When your water tank's too close, your grease zerk just ain't gonna squeeze into there. So I had to take this apart just to grease it up. Oh, the grease came out. I think I'll loosen this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Anyway, I finally got these bolts to line up to hold on the bumper. And it's not an easy chore to get these 4 bolts, 2 on each side. Once you put on these bolts, it just screws up everything. This moves, that moves, the water tank's gonna move, everything's gonna move. The other side went much easier, but they're not trying to shove all this stuff and zerks and this into one spot. You know, they really should have said, break out a hammer and bend the crap out of this. They say to put this panel, put both screws in there first. You know, while that may look good on paper and sitting on the garage floor, there's no way you will get this other bolt hole to line up with this factory L bracket here, and at the same time get it to fit here on your frame rail. It's just not gonna happen. Unless of course you start beating this thing with the hammer. Probably gonna have to beat the elbow here to give you a different turn. I'm not sure, but I didn't do all that beating. Had you take a bunch of stuff off, you know, do that trial fit, try again. I'm not sure if that's level. That's just bothering me. That it's gonna go down the road looking crooked like I'm an idiot. But there really isn't a part where I can wiggle that more in, which would be this is not level, but I'm pretty sure this is level. So we're gonna live with that. This guy that we put on, we're taking it off. Had a problem with the turnbuckle, wouldn't fit anymore. Bolt was kind of crooked. This guy on that trial fit, had to readjust this. And right now what we're doing is taking this off, because if you bought the fuel caddy, which I just spent all my time fixing this turnbuckle, you gotta take this out. And 4 washers on each end, guys. You know, this is just, it really seems like the guy missed a couple days down at engineering design school. It really does. I mean, they could have designed this better, I'm sure of it. Alright, so I gotta pull this out because I've got to separate this from the tailgate to get that fuel caddy on. So I'm gonna take this out, I'm gonna take this out, pull this out. There's a screw on the back of this here that you got to take out to get this guy out, because this is going to fit in there, this part. So I'll see you in a little bit.